The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike three. Wrap this one up in green and white.
Hello, RailCats fans, and welcome back to another edition of the RailCats Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Savage, and today we will be discussing a new signing, which happened yesterday, but recording it today because I didn't catch it until late last night, sort of deal. I've been like, there's got to be something in the works for the RailCats here. Lamar Rogers has to be making some more moves, and so I've been checking every day. Normally I'll check in the morning, and then before I go to bed. I didn't check during lunchtime, and that's probably when the time that it happened. And then when the RailCats tweeted out that they have a new signing, that's when I was like, oh, well, I must have missed that. So I would have had a podcast yesterday for it, but I didn't get around in enough time. So that's my apologies on that one. Normally I'm pretty on top of that. I don't normally get it to the point to where the RailCats are beating me kind of deal, because I know they make the graphics for it and stuff like that, do the story. So that's why I didn't catch it in time. It happens, it's still a bit of the slow season a little bit. Everyone else got to be picking up, but the RailCats obviously, with signing the plethora of people they did on the one day. Still waiting for two people to resign, but we'll get into those two people in a minute after I get done talking about the new signing that happened yesterday. From the Dominican Republic, a 6-foot tall right-handed, bats right, throws right, outfielder / shortstop, more of a utility player that Lamar Rogers is looking for, in Dorssys Paulino, who is 28. He's from Botany, of the Dominican Republic. He was signed August 3rd of 2011 by the Cleveland Guardians. He reached as high as AAA in the 2018. Now, after 2018, after he was released, he played strictly the Dominican Republic leagues. So I don't have any stats on him, so I'll just kind of go over his career stateside, anything that Baseball Reference was to give me. That's what I'm going to go after, or what I'm going to talk about is his whole career in general. I could have talked about the time that he went to AAA, but he only played in 4 games and he batted like a 146. I can't judge a player off of that, so I'm going to just judge him based off of everything that we're going to have for Paulino here. So when I get into it, he played in 622 games. That's all levels. That's AA, AAA, rookie league ball. It's all 7 seasons that he played, all combined together. He had 2,301 at bats, 307 runs, 608 hits, 127 doubles, 26 triples, 41 home runs, 278 RBIs, 54 stolen bases, 28 which were caught, 212 walks, 494 strikeouts with a batting average of .264. In his, you may look at the batting average and see it's not really up high there. I think as he progressed, he slowly got a little bit, his batting average slowly went down, and that's going to happen. I mean, most times professional players, when you look at their high school, when you look at their college stats, whatever the case may be, their stats are typically higher, and then every year that they go up, it kind of gets lower because the competition gets better. So you're seeing that. I think that's a little bit of that. So the batting average, I think, is sustainable for what we're looking for. A utility player that can play all the positions, that has some speed, and that can hit the ball. He can hit the ball. It seems like he can hit the ball. It's not going to be, a lot of home runs. It seems like being in the steel yard, he might be able to get his triples up a little bit. Doubles are going to be up a lot. Home runs, not so much until they go to other parks probably, but I don't really see him much as a power hitter, as more of a person that's going to be able to hit the ball, in between gaps and get on base, and probably a number one, the leadoff hitter. I would say, just looking at his stats in general, I think that's what they kind of need. I know Danny Lingual played there at leadoff spot, but I think at the beginning of the year, a lot of the offense was driven through Lingual, and I think that's still going to happen, especially with Michael Woodworth. I know there's going to be a lot more players that are going to be able to drive in offense, but I think Lamar Rogers was struggling just finding a leadoff batter, and I think you may have found one in Paulino here. I think he's going to see more of the field and more different positions. I think Paulino will be more of a player that's going to play all over the field. I think he's going to relieve people. The best way to put it, I know a lot of people aren't White Sox fans, whatever the case may be, but Liberty Garcia would probably be my best analogy with him. He'll be a utility player, plug and play wherever you need him, that kind of stuff. But I think he'll be more of a presence with the RailCats, especially. Continuing on with his batting line here, he had on base percentage of 331, slugging of 396, and OPS of 727. Looking at his fielding, he started out when he signed internationally as a shortstop, from like 2012 to 2014, and then he made the transition to the outfield. So, like I said, he may, give Lingual a spell here or there just playing the field. Not saying that Lingual would necessarily be out of the lineup. He may, DH or something like that. So, might be able to move him around a little bit if you need help at third or whatever the case may be. And I'm just saying, I think it's just more of a spell. I think Paulino will be playing more of the outfield, considering that right now, with him signing, the RailCats now have a full outfield, as before they didn't. So I think they'll probably sign another outfielder and be able to interchange and stuff like that from there. Lester Madden may have struggled a little bit in the outfield. LG Castillo will be in the lineup just based on his pure ability to bat. So it's going to be a lot of going in and out, just trying to see what works there. Looking at his shortstop fielding, he played in 187 games. He had 763 chances, 243 putouts, 443 assists, 77 errors for a fielding percentage of 899. And then he was involved in 78 double plays. I don't know. Just looking at the fielding percentage based on it, he still had a lot of chances, made a lot of errors. Now, granted, those could be throwing errors, not so much fielding themselves, but still, when you're in the infield, anything can be magnified in that aspect of it. So there's probably a reason he kind of got put back in the outfield. Not saying that he wasn't a good defensive player, just may not have been that good in the infield. So I'm just surprised if he really wasn't that good initially, why the Cleveland Guardians even took him as a shortstop, or he took him in the outfield and thought that he could play. I don't know what all transpired in that situation, but I think moving him to the outfield was a better move. Just looking at his outfield stats in general, he played in 360 games, had 627 chances, 581 putouts, 22 assists, 24 errors for a fielding percentage of 962, and it was involved in 5 double plays. Now, like I said, this could be not necessarily him, not necessarily, I'm trying to find the word for it, that the errors are him like dropping a ball. It could be more fielding error or more throwing errors, which you see a lot of times in like a catcher when their fielding percentage plummets is because of the throwing error. And it's one of those where the runner is clearly safe, but the guy overthrows, it's a throwing error, and it goes against him. So I wish the throwing errors versus the fielding percentage were a little bit split on that, but yet again, I understand why it's together in the fielding, because fielding isn't just about being able to catch a ball. It's about being able to catch the ball and throwing it to the correct spot and a correct time. It could have been a close play at second, a close play at third, a close play at home, and the throw was a little bit wild. Not saying that the throw was on line, that it would have been, perfect, or that the guy would have been out. He could have been safe either way. Sometimes the throwing in there is kind of sucks when you throw the air, or the throwing portion of it in with the fielding. But let's go ahead and go on to what Lamar Rogers had to say about Dorssys. Quote, Dorssys Paulino brings over 10 years of professional playing experience to the club and a valuable veteran skill set to our utility role, unquote. He also said, quote, once a high profile prospect with the Cleveland Guardians, he spent the last 3 seasons playing strictly in the Dominican Republic, where trusted contacts shared his ability to excel. I'm excited to be a part of his return stateside as he comes to Gary with a chip on his shoulder and something to prove. So obviously, Paulino wants another crack at playing, and I think, playing stateside and being recognized, and yeah, with him being 28, that's still really young to be in baseball professionally. A little bit older than the American Association, because you see a lot more of the 23s to 26s range is probably where you're kind of relying yourself in there. But I still think this is a good pickup because it's going to be a guy that's motivated to wanting to win, to wanting to prove himself, and I think that's what Lamar Rogers is putting together. This roster is a bunch of people that may have felt like they've been overlooked and want a chance to move forward and succeed. If that's if it's just being able to succeed in the American Association, or wanting to get back into affiliated ball, or whatever the case may be, it just seems like the roster that he has put together is a bunch of players that have had their shots, and just had their shots but didn't get a lot. It's like you see a cake sitting in front of you, and you're really hungry, but they only give you a little sliver of it, and then that's it, right? So that's kind of how it is you have all this cake that you want to eat, but they're only going to give you a little sliver, and then you're still hungry for more, and you want to drive and get better. Yeah, you want your cake and have it too. These players have the ability, and some of them has showed that they have the ability to play in the high level of AAA, or even may touch the big league ball, the MLB, but they don't have the opportunity. Just kind of going back, I mean, Paulino only had 4 games in the AAA, and he played really well, I would say, in the rest of his leagues. He didn't get the opportunity. It could have been an injury that they brought him up and they sent him back down after the guy was fine. It just, a lot of these players just don't seem like they get that opportunity. And I think that's what Lamar Rogers wants, is that hungriness in the locker room, that ability to get better, because not only getting better for you're going to make someone else better. You're going to make the team better. Then you're going to start winning games. You're going to win championships. And then you're going to start getting recognized, by what's going on. The American Association is slowly but surely starting to overtake the Atlantic League. Now, there has been a couple trades and people moving to other places to the Atlantic League, but I think a lot of that is just based on the pure geographical. Some people get homesick, some people just want to get, a lot of these players are from the East Coast, that kind of area there. But I think having another high level prospect, a high level attitude to a player like Paulino, will help drive the RailCats forward. Now, speaking of the other 2 that I was mentioning that haven't re-signed yet, was Adam Heidenfelder and Jesus Mariaga. No word on what's going on with Adam Heidenfelder. No word on that at all. Jesus Mariaga, there might be some speculation that he isn't going to do anything until after the World Cup, not World Cup, World Classic, where he's a part of Team Columbia, and I think that's either the 3rd or the 7th. I don't remember. what days those actually were when they started. But I'll be excited to watch that. And I mean, this is a good opportunity for Jesus Mario. I mean, when he was playing in the Columbia League, he was tearing it up down there. Being able to represent his country when you have big names playing, especially on the American side, if Colombia and the United States end up matching up somewhere, and you got a lot of uh, scouts or whatever the case may be, they may see him play that well, and you may not see him in a Gary South Shore RailCats jersey. But that's to be something exciting. Yes, it's bittersweet because you want everyone to succeed, but I feel like Jesus was kind of snubbed of last year because of the visa issues that he had. But that we'll see what happens after the World Classic. I'll try to keep date on him at least and give some stats out for Jesus. So I'll try to keep a close eye on it. If not, I apologize. A lot of other things going on in life. But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap it up for the podcast. I know we're getting so close to the beginning of the baseball season. I'm so excited for it. I can't wait until the Gary South Shore RailCats are back playing baseball. I've really been looking forward to this year, being able to get to the ballpark majority of the year, watching the games, getting back into, driving the podcast, talking about the team, this and stuff. The off season has kind of been, you had little spurts here and there, and then it was dead for a while, and then a big rush of things, and then it was dead for a while. So it's just kind of hard to keep yourself going on that aspect of it. So I apologize if you expect more from me. I know I say this almost every week that I go from, podcasting 3 weeks in a row and then stopping for a month or so and then getting back into it. So I apologize for that. Try to get better at it. Plans are still in motion, but I think the plans that I want to do are going to be more geared to the beginning of the season and then continue it from there. So I wanted to get a feel for the off season this year, and then next year it'll be a lot better. Hopefully. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for me. So if you enjoyed the podcast, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at RailCats, Facebook, RailCats Talk, all that. Twitter's RailCats Talk and Facebook's RailCats Talk. If you want my personal Twitter handle, that's Ksevetich, Ksevetich. That's just my personal Twitter handler. I retweet stuff, my other sports, hockey, other baseball stuff, football, that kind of stuff. That's where just my personal handles on that if you're intrigued. If not, it's not that big of a deal. I know we're all here for the podcast, and that's all that matters. But yeah, so I want you to enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening when you're watching this, and go Cats.